And let's go on to the second point that science says, and that's on Dr. Mikovits, you being anti-vax. They said in another recent video, Mikovits is wearing a hat that says Vax 2, which is a sequel to the film that links the mumps, measles, and rubella vaccine to autism, a debunked theory, they say. She also repeats several claims made by people who are leading the anti-vaccine movement. In the PowerPoint presentation she sent to Science, she calls for an immediate moratorium on all vaccines. How do you reply to
that? Yeah. What does the movie The Truth About Cancer show? That's why I wore the hat. It's the people's truth. It's when you interview the vaccine injured and you see the next children as the parents learn. I'm not anti-vax. I spent my life making immune therapy on the single hypothesis that you can educate the immune system to prevent and treat infectious disease, AIDS, and cancers-associated infections. And that's what our work did from understanding the immune response in HIV. We changed it from an infection you can live with and you'd never develop the disease. So why I wore that hat is because when you look at the people's truth, when you watch the movie, when you learn that the doctors in the movie, dozens of doctors said, no, we weren't educated about what's in a vaccine. No, we weren't educated about anything but the schedule, the untested schedule. You know, that it's never been tested. When I make drugs for cancer, every time I add an ingredient to a protocol, let's just say I'm making a chemotherapy with 3 things. If I use adriamycin, I have to test it in double-blind placebo-controlled studies. That means saline, inert placebo, sugar water, something safe, no vaccine, and then or no drug. And then I add another, say cisplatin to that. I have to test cisplatin alone, adriamycin alone, and the 2 together. These vaccines are not co-developed that way. They're just thrown 6 things like Pediarix. Pediarix has is IPV, the injected polio, grown in those monkey cells, along with DTaP, along with Hep B, and they're just mixed together. They're never tested. So how I respond to that is, you know, so what you're talking about, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. And these people aren't either. They're ex-vaxxers. Their families have been injured. Their children have been killed. And that's what you'll see in this movie. And everyone should see this movie because Science Magazine, that's not science, folks. You're just attacking us. When you let our families be abandoned, and that's why I put that hat on, because I lived through HIV. I remember the quilt on the mall of the people that were killed when the drugs, the safe drugs like peptide T, never made it to market. You know, we can see the same corollary with hydroxychloroquine. Why can't we use a safe drug? Why is it anecdotal with peptide T and you can skew the clinical trials to keep adding people to remdesivir because you get the patents? You know, why are people denied the cures, that would say the viruses cause the disease in autism? Debunked is not disproven. It's just character assassination and cover up. And the movie Vaxxed 1 clearly shows William Thompson, we just kind of threw away that data and those data and made the association go away that black boys given the MMR before 3 years of age were 4-fold more susceptible, more likely to get autism. And all you had to do was wait until they were after 3 years old when those data were clear, and what you did was whitewashed and removed the appropriate patients. Well, that's exactly what they did in the XMRV studies. Just remove the right people. It's like, it would have been like trying to isolate HIV and associate it with AIDS in the early 80s, and you didn't use gay men, IV drug users, or prostitutes. You'd never find the virus. And this is what William Thompson did in Vaxxed, the original movie, and Vaxxed 2 is the people's truth. You can see the families that are injured. You can see the doctors say, no, we weren't taught anything. No, and when the doctors wake up and when they're educated and they realize these aren't magic Pez dispensers, there's no placebo study. There's nothing done. That's not science. That's character assassination. Fine, I wear that hat proudly because I'm here to protect those victims. If I can convince anybody never get another shot until that 5-year moratorium. Why did I say 5-year moratorium? It's going to take at least that to test the schedule, at least that. And during that 5 years, what are we going to find? Oh, wait a minute. People are actually healthy. People actually don't develop food allergies. 50% of our kids with asthma. We're going to see this autism go away. And when it goes away, you know what caused it.